Greetings, Wildcats. Tyran Stokes is catching touchdown passes on the football field. Maybe Mark Stoops can use him? What? That would be really weird. Let's get to the news. The intersection between basketball and college football can be one of the most captivating stories in sports, and Tyron Stokes seems to be about to write a completely unusual chapter in that story. Yes, we're talking about Tyran Stokes, the nation's #1 basketball recruit, who decided to take a break from his dominant career on the court to try something few could have predicted, playing football as a wide receiver, and with impressive results. Stokes made his gridiron debut for Notre Dame Sherman Oaks in California last weekend, and his performance wasn't exactly understated. In his first game since middle school, he caught 2 passes for 57 yards and a touchdown, helping his team to a crushing 57-14 victory over Culver City. The most memorable moment of the night? A 45-yard pass down the left sideline, where Stokes demonstrated a lethal combination of physical strength and athleticism. He easily shook off a defender at the line of scrimmage and crossed the end zone with a naturalness that made it seem like he'd done it hundreds of times. And maybe he had, in his dreams. But what makes this story even more intriguing is the context. Stokes, who is being coveted by Kentucky as the future star of the basketball program under Mark Pope, decided to return to football for personal reasons. "This might be my last chance to just be a kid," he told High School on SI, revealing an emotional depth that goes beyond the elite athlete everyone knows. This statement resonates as a reminder that, behind the stares and expectations, these young men are searching for authentic experiences, moments that make them feel alive. Notre Dame Sherman Oaks coach Evan Yabu was emphatic in explaining Stokes' immediate success in the sport. "There's a reason he's the #1 basketball player in the country," Yabu said. "It's not because he's tall and big. It's because he's adaptable, intelligent, very attentive, and a great listener. He learns extremely quickly. These qualities are precisely what make him a special player in whatever sport he chooses to play." And let's face it, it's not every day you see a 5-star basketball recruit make such a seamless transition to football. Now, imagine the hypothetical, but absolutely fascinating scenario of Stokes deciding to split his time between the court and the field at Kentucky. On one hand, there's Mark Pope, who would surely see in Stokes a talent capable of transforming Wildcats basketball into an even more dominant force. Stokes would be a key player in the dynamic and versatile style Pope seeks to implement. On the other hand, there's Mark Stoops, whose football team struggled recently, completing just 10 passes for 124 yards against South Carolina. It wouldn't be unreasonable to imagine Stoops trying to convince Stokes to wear the jersey a few times, especially considering the Wildcats' lack of consistent options in the passing attack. Sure, this all sounds like a joke, but there's something genuinely exciting about the idea of an athlete with Stokes' potential flirting with 2 such distinct sports, both so important to Kentucky's sports culture. We can already picture the announcer's comments during a football game. "Did you know Tyron Stokes is also the best basketball player in the country?" Or during a basketball game, "This kid can catch touchdown passes." What's clear is that Tyron Stokes isn't just a name. He's a promise of multiple possibilities. Whether on the field or the court, he has the potential to leave his mark wherever he goes. And while Mark Pope and Mark Stoops watch from the sidelines, it remains to be seen who will have the privilege of counting on this phenomenon. Kentucky basketball enters this season with renewed enthusiasm, and much of that excitement stems from the expected impact of Jalen Low, a point guard transferred from Pittsburgh. Low arrives in Lexington with a strong track record. Named All-ACC last season, he stood out with impressive numbers: 16.8 points, 5.5 assists, 4.2 rebounds, and 1.8 steals per game. Even on an inconsistent team with a mediocre record, he managed to capture the attention of analysts, coaches, and now a program seeking to regain national prominence. Mark Pope was full of praise from the moment the player donned the blue and white jersey. For the coach, Low is simply a special talent, capable of transforming the team's dynamic and making a huge leap in this news cycle. The statement may seem emphatic, but the early signs during summer training justify the excitement. Low, who was previously criticized for his low shooting efficiency, just 37.6% from the field and 26.6% from three in Pittsburgh, has already shown significant improvement, leading internal practices with a shooting rate close to 42% from the perimeter. More than statistics, what stands out is the leadership style the point guard brought with him. Pope emphasized that, in a group searching for identity, Low is unafraid to push, to say what needs to be said, and to take responsibility for organizing and demanding things from his teammates. This, in a competitive environment like the SEC, can be as valuable as the points and assists that appear on the stat sheet. Another aspect that reinforces the coaching staff's confidence is the long-standing relationship between Low and two key assistants on the staff, Alvin Brooks III and Mikhail McLean. Both have deep connections to Texas, where the point guard is from, and have known not only the player, but also his family and his career since his early days in basketball. This closeness creates a bond of trust that allows for harsh but constructive criticism, something that has accelerated Low's development within the Kentucky system. As McLean pointed out, they've been with him since he was a kid and know exactly what to demand to reach the next level. And that next level is what keeps the fire burning in Lexington. The point guard didn't just repeat old patterns. He absorbed the feedback from the last recruiting cycle, worked on his weaknesses, especially his blocking defense, and presented himself in September as a more complete player, capable of impacting on both ends of the court. The news that he won individual defensive drills reinforces the idea that he's not just an offensive prospect, but an athlete who can, in fact, become a benchmark for versatility. For many, Pope's speech often borders on hyperbole, but in the case of Jalen Low, the assessment doesn't seem exaggerated. The point guard possesses attributes that make a difference on any elite team. Playmaking, scoring ability in decisive situations, vocal leadership, and, now, greater offensive and defensive efficiency. It's no coincidence that rumors surrounding his performance in training camps gained momentum during the summer and fall, and, more than just hype, the reports point to a real transformation. Kentucky knows it can't rely on a single player to define its season, but it also understands that Low can be the catalyst for the entire roster to grow around him. The conference will be tough, opponents will demand consistency, and it's in this scenario that Pope is betting his new point guard will flourish. The moment, therefore, is one of high but well-founded expectations. Jalen Low appears ready to establish himself not only as a key player in Lexington, but as a name with a promising future in the NBA. Football can be overwhelming at times, and in Kentucky's case with Cutter Boley, the young quarterback is writing his own narrative of resilience. While the start of the 2025 season has been challenging for the program, there is something undeniably promising in the way Boley weathers the storm, with optimism, constructive self-criticism, and an unwavering faith in his teammates. The 35-13 loss to South Carolina at Williams-Brice Stadium was a harsh reminder of the difficulties the team faces, especially when it comes to playing away from home in the competitive Southeastern Conference SEC. For Boley, this was only his second significant game of the season and his first experience as a visitor in one of college football's most hostile environments. Even so, he didn't succumb to pessimism or easy guilt. On the contrary, he took his share of responsibility, acknowledging flaws such as the need to release the ball more quickly and avoid critical turnovers, but also highlighted the potential of a group that is still far from reaching its peak. Coach Mark Stoops, a central figure in the development of this program over the past few years, reinforced the importance of looking beyond a single player when evaluating results. Cutter is a very good quarterback who has a bright future, Stoops said after the game, demonstrating confidence in his player. Boley, for his part, embodies this mentality. His performance against South Carolina may not have been perfect, with 124 passing yards, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. But what truly stands out is his demeanor after the final whistle. Instead of hiding behind excuses or blaming teammates, he kept his head high, praising his teammates' work and emphasizing that the locker room remains united. "We're close. We're very close," he declared with a conviction that seems genuine. This kind of leadership, especially from a rookie, is rare and valuable. Of course, there are technical issues that urgently need to be addressed. The offensive line, which allowed 6 sacks, failed to provide the necessary protection for Boley to operate comfortably in the pocket. The receivers, on the other hand, seem to be struggling to create consistent separation, limiting the available passing options. And while some of these issues can be attributed to the quarterback himself, who needs to make quicker decisions under pressure, it's clear that the system as a whole needs improvement. It's not just about one player. It's a collective effort. However, hope lies precisely in this recognition. Boley and Stoops know that the road to recovery begins with incremental adjustments. Small victories, like connecting on crucial passes on 3rd downs or eliminating self-inflicted mistakes, can make all the difference. The schedule certainly won't be easy, with 5 remaining matchups against SEC teams, many of them playoff hopefuls. But it's precisely in these moments that great teams are built. Furthermore, it's worth remembering that Boley has already shown flashes of talent. In the match against Eastern Michigan, he demonstrated precision and control, indicating that potential is there, waiting to be honed. Now it's up to him and the rest of the team to turn those flashes into consistency. The confidence he expresses in his teammates, and which they seem to share, is a positive sign. In football, few things are as important as mutual belief within a locker room. As Kentucky advances through this tumultuous season, it's impossible to ignore the impact a leader like Boley can have on the program's future. He represents not only a key piece in the present, but also a promising player for years to come. His development under Stoops will be closely monitored by fans who, despite the momentary disappointment, remain hopeful for better days. Comment with your thoughts.